Hello everyone. In this video we are going to discuss Rankine's earth pressure theory for cohesionless soils when the surface is inclined from the chapter Earth Pressure Theory. So in previous video we had discussed the cohesionless soil with horizontal surface which is retained by the retaining wall, and we had determined the formulas for active pressure coefficient, passive earth pressure coefficient, and we also determined the value of failure plane inclination. Now in this case also we are going to determine same values, but in this case the soil which is retained by the retaining wall is having inclined surface. Now suppose this is the retaining wall and this is the soil supported by retaining wall. Now the surface of the soil is inclined, say at an angle I. So the pressure exerted by this soil on the retaining wall will also be inclined at an angle I. That means this pressure will be parallel to the top surface of the soil. Now let us assume a small element from the soil mass. So here the hatched portion indicates the element of the soil mass. The two pressures are acting on the soil mass, sigma x and sigma v. Now here we can see that sigma x and sigma v are not the normal stresses. That's why they cannot be considered as principal stresses. The element is situated at depth z. Now Rankine assumed that the vertical stress sigma v and sigma x both are the conjugate stresses. Conjugate stresses. So now we will see what are the conjugate stresses. Two stresses are called as conjugate stresses when direction of one stress is parallel to the plane on which other stress is acting. So here the direction of sigma x is the parallel to the plane on which the force sigma v is acting, and that's why sigma v and sigma x are the conjugate stresses. So here angle of inclination I of this slope is called as surcharge angle. Here B is the inclined width of this element. So the horizontal width of the element will be B cos I. So total vertical force acting on this element is equal to gamma into, that is density, into total height of this overlying soil which is Z, into the width of the element which is B cos I. So vertical pressure or vertical stress will be this vertical force gamma Z B cos I divided by cross sectional area of this element. But the cross sectional area of this element will be equal to B into this third directional length is considered as 1 unit. So total cross sectional area will be B into 1, which is B. So this B and B will get cancelled. So the vertical pressure or vertical stress will be equal to gamma Z cos I. So this is the vertical stress sigma V, and horizontal stress is sigma x. So as per Rankine's theory, sigma x divided by sigma v is constant. So this constant is called as coefficient of earth pressure, and in this video we are going to determine the value of K in both cases, that is in case of active pressure and in case of passive pressure. So first we will discuss the case of active earth pressure. So this was the element we had assumed. The vertical stress sigma V is acting on inclined plane, and inclined stresses sigma x is acting on vertical planes. So these are the conjugate stresses, and value of sigma V is constant because element is situated at that depth, it is not moving. So value of sigma V is constant and it is equal to gamma z cos I as we have derived. So we can represent these forces on Mohr circle assuming that the soil is on the verge of failure. So this pressure sigma x can be considered as active earth pressure. So on Mohr circle, x-axis represents normal stress, y-axis represents shear stress. So this force sigma v is acting on a plane which is inclined at an angle I, because I is the slope angle. So this plane is represented by drawing line OA which is inclined at an angle I with the x-axis, and the length of OA will be equal to sigma v. So this OA represent the pressure acting on the surface which is inclined at an angle I. Since because of combination of these forces, that is sigma v and sigma x, lateral expansion of soil is occurring and soil is on the verge of failure, and active plastic equilibrium state has been achieved, then this Mohr circle touches the failure envelope. So suppose this is the failure envelope, then Mohr circle passes through A as well as it touches the failure envelope at point F. So this is the Mohr circle for this combination of stresses. Now we are supposed to locate the position of sigma x. So here OA intersect the circle at point P. So P is the pole, or it is called as origin of planes. So here this surface on which sigma x is acting is vertical. That's why we will draw a vertical line. It will intersect the circle at point B. So this line represents the surface on which sigma x is acting, and this point B represents the value of sigma x. Since active state has been reached, then this sigma x is equal to active earth pressure. That means OB represents active earth pressure. So in short, OA is equal to sigma V vertical stress and OB is equal to PA which is lateral stress as well as active earth pressure. So this OB is numerically equal to OP. OB equal to OP. So OP will also be equal to PA. Now let us connect point P, F and A with the center of the circle, and let us draw a perpendicular CD to PA. So from figure we can see that PA upon sigma V is equal to OB upon OA. But numerically OB is equal to OP. So PA upon sigma V becomes equal to OP upon OA. So PA upon sigma V is equal to, we can write OP as OD plus D minus dp, and we can write OA as OD plus dA. So PA upon sigma V become equal to OD minus dP divided by OD plus dA. We will write this equation as equation number A. Now in this equation A, all these three terms, that is OD, dP and dA, we can write them in terms of OC. So we will write all these terms in terms of OC. Here the ratio PA upon sigma V is known as the conjugate stress ratio. Now OD is equal to OT. If we consider this triangle, then OD will be equal to OC cos I. Similarly, if we consider this triangle, that is PDC and ADC, then these triangles are similar triangle. So dA will be equal to dP, which will be equal to under root of PC square minus DC square by Pythagoras theorem. So our ultimate aim is to convert all these terms in terms of OC. We have already obtained expression for OD, and here we have already proved that dP is equal to dA. So we want to convert them also in terms of OC. So we will write PC and DC in terms of OC. So here PC is equal to FC because both are the radius of this same circle, and FC is equal to OC sine phi dash. So ultimately PC will become equal to OC sine phi dash, and DC is equal to OC sine I. So we will write these value of PC and DC in this equation. We will get dA is equal to dP is equal to under root of OC sine phi dash square plus OC sine I square. So by taking OC common, we will get OC into under root of sine square phi dash, this is minus sine square I. So from equation 1, we will put this value of dA and dP in equation 1. We will get PA upon sigma V is equal to OC cos I, which is OD, minus OC into sine square phi dash minus sine square I divided by OC cos I plus OC under root sine square phi dash minus sine square I. So this is the same expression we had obtained in previous slide. So by taking OC common from numerator and denominator and cancelling it, we will get PA upon sigma V equal to cos I minus under root of sine square phi dash minus sine square I divided by cos I plus under root of sine square phi dash minus sine square I. So we will replace this sine square term by 1 minus cos square. So we will get PA equal to cos I minus under root of 1 minus cos square phi dash minus 1 minus cos square I divided by cos I plus under root of 1 minus cos square phi dash minus 1 minus cos square I into sigma V. So here sigma V is replaced as gamma Z cos I. So PA will be equal to KA into gamma Z. So here this entire term into cos I is replaced as KA. So PA has become KA into gamma Z. So that's why KA is equal to cos I minus under root of cos square I minus cos square phi dash divided by cos I plus under root of cos square I minus cos square phi dash into cos I. So PA is equal to KA into gamma z. So this Ka is the coefficient of active earth pressure when the slope surface is inclined. Now we will determine the angle of inclination of failure plane in case of active earth pressure. So we will assume the same element inclined at an angle I, means top surface is inclined at an angle I with the horizontal. Vertical pressure is sigma V, lateral pressure is sigma x. So here on the Mohr circle, the top surface is represented by line OA. This line is inclined at an angle I, which is slope angle. Obviously, active earth pressure is acting. That means limiting condition is reached. Soil is on the verge of failure. That means Mohr circle touches the failure envelope. So these two are the failure envelopes and Mohr circle touches these envelopes. Phi is the angle of friction. So this Mohr circle passes through point A as it represents the top surface of this element, and OA is equal to sigma V. Then it touches the failure envelope at point F, and this OA intersect the Mohr circle at point P. So this point P is called as pole. It also touches the bottom tangent or bottom failure envelope at point F dash, and it intersect the x-axis at point E and B. So point E represent major principal stress, point B represent minor principal stress. Now since point P is the pole and E is the point representing major principal stress, if we connect P and E, the line PE will represent major principal plane. And similarly, point B represents minor principal stress. So if we connect point P and B, then the line PB will represent minor principal plane. But now we are interested in major principal plane only. So angle of inclination of major principal plane with horizontal is theta 1, which is angle PEC. So ultimately angle PCB, which is angle subtended by P at the center of the circle, will be 2 theta 1. So here point F is indicate the failure point. So if we connect P and F, then PF will be the failure surface. So if we extend this line PF in downward direction, it will intersect at point G to the x-axis, and this angle alpha 1 is the inclination of failure plane with horizontal. So now since PF is the failure plane, the angle made by PF with the major principal plane is theta F1. Since there are two failure points F and F dash, so there will be two failure planes, which is the another plane will be PF dash, and the angle of inclination of this PF dash with the major principal plane will be theta F2. So the angle made by this failure plane with the major principal plane will be theta F2, and angle made by this failure plane PF dash with horizontal will be alpha 2. So in short, we should keep in mind that the failure plane PF makes an angle theta F1 with the major principal plane, which is indicated by the line PE. This failure plane PF is extended towards the x-axis and it intersects the x-axis at point G. So the angle made by the failure plane with the x-axis, that means with horizontal, is alpha 1. There is another failure plane which is indicated by PF dash. This failure plane makes an angle of theta F2 with the major principal plane, and this plane also makes an angle of alpha 2 with the horizontal. So we are supposed to determine the expressions for alpha 1 and alpha 2. These are the angles made by the failure planes with the horizontal. So we are going to use the theorem of external angle to determine the value of alpha 1 and alpha 2. The theorem is that suppose this is triangle A, B and C. Then the exterior angle at C is equal to interior angle at A plus interior angle at B. Now let us connect point P, point F and A with the center of this Mohr circle, and let us draw a perpendicular to PF from the center C. So it will intersect at point D. Now the angle DPC is psi. Now let us consider triangle PEG. P, E and G. So in this triangle, the exterior angle theta F1, this exterior angle theta F1 will be equal to theta 1 plus alpha 1. So it will be equal to alpha 1 plus theta 1. So alpha 1 will be equal to theta F1 minus theta 1, where theta F1 is the angle which failure plane makes with the major principal plane, and it is equal to this theta F1 is equal to 45 degree plus phi dash by 2. We had derived this formula in previous video. We will name this equation as equation number 1 because our main aim is to determine the formula for alpha 1, which is angle of inclination of failure plane PF with the horizontal. So we had derived the expression of theta F1. Now we will derive the expression for theta 1. Now let us consider triangle OPC. Triangle OPC. So in this triangle, the exterior angle psi, this angle psi is given by psi is equal to 2 theta 1 plus I. Psi is equal to 2 theta 1 plus I. So theta 1 will be equal to psi minus I divided by 2. So we have obtained expression for theta 1. We have obtained expression for theta f. So we will put these two values in equation 1. We will get alpha 1 is equal to 45 plus phi dash by 2 minus psi minus I divided by 2. So this is the expression for the angle of inclination for the first failure plane. Now value of psi is still hard to determine, so we will derive the expression for the psi. And for that, let us consider triangle PCD. PCD. So from this triangle we can see that sine psi is equal to CD upon DP. Sine psi is equal to CD upon DP. So CD is equal to OC sine I. We can see that from figure. And dp is equal to cf because both are the radius of this same circle. So we can write this as OC sin I divided by, we can write CF as OC sin phi dash. So cancelling OC, we will get sin psi equal to sin I minus sin phi dash. So ultimately psi will be equal to sin inverse of sin I divided by sin phi dash. So we can put this value in this equation. So we can utilize this value of psi to get the value of alpha 1, which is equal to 45 plus phi dash by 2 minus psi minus I divided by. So this is the expression for the angle of inclination of failure plane, PF. Similarly, there is another failure plane which is PF dash, and it is inclined at an angle alpha 2. So if we consider this triangle, then we will get alpha 2 equal to theta f2 plus theta 1. So theta f2 is 45 degree plus 5 dash by 2, and theta 1 we have obtained is psi minus I divided by 2. So this is the expression for second failure plane. And as we have derived the value of psi, it is sin inverse of sin I divided by sin phi dash. Now we will discuss about the Rankine's earth pressure theory when there is passive earth pressure in case of cohesion less soil. So here, suppose this is the retaining wall. This is the soil which is retained by the retaining wall. So as the movement of this retaining wall is towards the backfill, the backfill will get compressed. As a result, the pressure on the retaining wall which is exerted by the soil will increase. So when soil is at the verge of failure, at that point the horizontal pressure sigma h will be greater than the vertical pressure because horizontal pressure has been increased. So in that case, when soil is at the verge of failure, the horizontal pressure becomes passive earth pressure indicated as PP. So passive pressure is greater than sigma V. Now suppose this was the element of soil which we had considered. Its top surface and bottom surface was inclined at an angle I, which is surcharge angle. Vertical forces acting on this element is sigma V and lateral force is sigma x, which is equal to passive pressure. So we will represent these stresses, or we have represented these stresses on Mohr circle. So here in this Mohr circle diagram, line OA is drawn at an angle I with the x-axis. So this OA represent the vertical stress. So this line OA is parallel to the top surface of this element. So it represents the top surface of the element which is considered, and its length is equal to stresses acting on this element which is sigma V. Now this OA is further extended, it intersect the Mohr circle at point P. So this point P is the pole, or we can say origin of planes. So from this point P, we will draw the vertical line. This vertical line represents the vertical surface of this element. This vertical line intersect the Mohr circle at point B. So if we connect OB, then this length of this OB will be equal to passive pressure which is acting on this vertical surface. So as I have said, in this case vertical stress is smaller of the two conjugate stresses. That means vertical stress sigma V is smaller than passive pressure. OA represents the vertical stress sigma V. The point P shows the origin of planes and OB represents the passive pressure. So from this diagram we can write PP divided by sigma V is equal to OB upon OA. OB upon OA. So we can write OB as OP. Both are equal. So PP upon sigma V becomes equal to OP upon OA. Now we can write OP as OD plus DP. OD plus DP. And we can write OA as OD minus DA. So PP upon sigma V becomes equal to OD plus DP divided by OD minus DA. Again we are going to write these all terms, that is OD, DP and DA, in terms of OC. So if we consider triangle ODC, then we will get OD equal to OC cos I. Now if we consider triangle ADC and triangle PDC, then these two triangles will be similar triangle. So DA will be equal to DP and that will be equal to under root of AC square minus DC square. So we will write AC as FC because both are the radius of the same circle. So DA equal to DP becomes equal to under root of FC square minus DC square. So here FC can be written as OC sin phi dash and DC can be written as OC sin I dash. So DA equal to DP becomes equal to under root of OC sin phi dash square minus OC sin I square. So by taking OC common, we will get DA equal to DP equal to OC into under root of sin square phi dash minus sin square I. Now we can put this value of DA and DP in this equation, which is equation A. So putting the value of DA and DP in equation A, we will get PA divided by sigma V equal to OC cos I, which is equal to OD, plus OC into sin square phi under root of sin square phi dash minus sin square I, divided by OC cos I minus DA is equal to OC under root of sin square phi dash minus sin square I. So we will take OC common from numerator and denominator and we will cancel it. So PA divided by sigma V becomes equal to cos I plus under root of sin square phi dash minus sin square I divided by cos I minus under root of sine square phi dash minus sine square I. So this is the same expression which we have obtained in previous slide. So from this expression, we will replace the term of sine square by 1 minus cos square. So PP divided by sigma V will be equal to cos I plus under root of 1 minus cos square phi dash minus 1 minus cos square I divided by cos I minus under root of 1 minus cos square phi dash minus 1 minus cos square I. So 1 and 1 will get cancelled from numerator. It will also get cancelled from denominator. So the value of PP will be equal to cos I plus under root of cos square I minus cos square phi dash divided by cos I minus under root of cos square I minus cos square phi dash into sigma V. So we can replace sigma V by gamma Z cos I. Now this entire term and cos I can be replaced by Kp, where Kp is the coefficient of passive earth pressure. So value of Pp will become equal to Kp into gamma Z. So here Kp is equal to cos I plus under root of cos square I minus cos square phi dash divided by cos I minus under root of cos square I minus cos square phi dash into cos I, and hence Pa becomes equal to Ka into gamma Z. So here this Kp is the coefficient of passive earth pressure when surface is inclined in cohesion-less soil. Now let us derive the expression for the angle of inclination of failure plane with the horizontal in case of passive earth pressure. So we will draw a Mohr circle. It intersects the x-axis at point B and E. So point B represents major principal stress and point E represents minor principal stress. Since the soil is on the verge of failure or passive pressure is acting, that means this Mohr circle touches the failure envelope. So this circle touches the envelope at point F and F dash. The soil element was like this. That means its top surface is inclined at an angle I. So here line OP is inclined at an angle I. So it represents the top surface of this element, and its length, which is OA, is equal to sigma V, which is vertical pressure acting on the top surface of this element. The extension of OA intersect the Mohr circle at point P. So this point P is pole as well as origin of plane. So if we connect the point P with the failure point F dash, the line PF will represent the failure surface. That means PF will be parallel to failure surface. So this failure surface is inclined at an angle, say alpha 2 with the horizontal. There is another failure plane which is PF dash. Means line PF dash represents second failure plane which is inclined at an angle alpha 1 with the horizontal. Now since P is the pole, if we connect P with the point E, which represent minor principal stress, then line PE will represent major minor principal plane. So PE is the minor principal plane. So this minor principal plane makes an angle theta 2 with the horizontal. So angle subtended by P at point E is theta 2. So angle subtended by P at the center of the circle will be equal to 2 theta 2. The angle made by failure plane FP with minor principal plane is theta F1, and the angle which is subtended by failure plane PF dash with the minor principal plane is theta F2. Now let us connect point C and F, and also let us draw a perpendicular from C to line OP. It will intersect the line OP at point D. So this is the perpendicular, and angle DPC will be equal to psi. So this angle is psi. So in short, we should keep in mind these four main angles. This is failure plane FP, and it is making an angle alpha 2 with the horizontal, and it is also making angle of theta F1 with the minor principal plane. So this angle is theta F1. Now the second failure plane is PF dash, and it makes an angle of alpha 1 with the horizontal, and it also makes an angle of theta F2 with the minor principal plane EP. So we are supposed to derive the expression of alpha 1 and alpha 2, which are the angle of inclination of failure planes with the horizontal. Now let us consider triangle PCO. So this is the triangle PCO. So from this triangle we can say that the angle 2 theta 2, which is exterior angle, is equal to psi plus I. This interior angle psi plus interior angle I is equal to 2 theta 2. So theta 2 becomes equal to psi plus I divided by 2. Now the inclination of failure plane PF with the horizontal is equal to alpha 2, and it can be obtained from the relation theta F1 is equal to alpha 2 plus theta 2. That means this total angle theta F1 is equal to alpha 2 plus theta 2, where theta F1 is the inclination of failure plane with minor principal plane. So alpha 2 becomes equal to theta F1 minus theta 2. So we have already derived the expression for the angle of inclination of failure plane with minor principal plane, which is equal to 45 degree minus phi dash by 2. So this expression will become equal to alpha 2 equal to, we will write theta F1 as 45 degree minus phi dash by 2, and theta 2 will write as psi plus I divided by 2. So this is the expression for the angle of inclination of failure plane with the horizontal. Now we will derive the expression for the psi. So we can use this value in this expression. The angle psi is obtained from the triangle PCD as. So let us consider the triangle PCD first. Triangle PCD. So here CD is the perpendicular to the PD. This angle is 90 degree. So sin psi is equal to CD upon CP. So CD is, we already know, is equal to OC sin I, and we have written CP as CF because both are the radius of the same circle. Now sin psi will become equal to OC sin I divided by, we will write CF as OC sin phi dash. So OC will get cancelled. So sin psi equal to sin I divided by sin phi dash. So psi will be equal to sin inverse of sin I divided by sin phi dash. The failure plane PF dash, this plane makes an angle alpha 1 with the horizontal. So this angle alpha 1 can be obtained if we consider this triangle. So from this triangle we can write that alpha 1 is equal to theta f2 plus theta 2. So alpha 1 is equal to theta f2 plus theta 2. Now theta f2 is equal to 45 degree plus phi dash by 2, and theta 2 is already we have derived, which is psi plus I divided by 2. So this is the expression for the failure plane PF dash. So alpha 1 is the angle for the failure plane PF dash, and this is the expression to derive the value of alpha 1. So till now we have derived the expression to determine the value of coefficient of active earth pressure and coefficient of passive earth pressure. So using these values we can determine the total active pressure and total passive earth pressure at depth Z below the surface of the soil. So now we are going to discuss the pressure distribution throughout the height of this retaining wall. So there are again two cases. The first case is back of the retaining wall is vertical. So here back of this retaining wall is vertical. This is the first case, and in the second case the back of the retaining wall is inclined. So this back is inclined. So first we will consider the vertical back of the retaining wall. So let us consider the active case. So here in this diagram we can see that the soil surface is inclined at an angle I, means I is the surcharge angle. So at depth say h, which is equal to suppose z, then at depth z the total active pressure will be given as PA equal to KA into gamma z, where KA is cos I minus under root of cos square I minus cos square phi dash divided by cos I plus under root of cos square I minus cos square phi dash into cos I. So this is the pressure which is at the base or at depth Z of the retaining wall. So the total pressure will be equal to the area of this pressure distribution diagram. So the total active pressure at the back of the retaining wall will be equal to the area of this pressure distribution diagram. So at the base the pressure PA equal to KA gamma Z is active. So total area of this pressure distribution diagram will be the total active pressure, which is PA equal to half into base, which is equal to PA into height, which is equal to Z. So we will write PA as half into KA gamma Z into Z. So this total active pressure will be equal to PA, this is total, equal to half into Ka gamma Z square. Similarly, in case of passive earth pressure, the pressure at the base of this retaining wall will be equal to Kp gamma Z, where Kp is cos I plus under root of cos square I minus cos square phi dash divided by cos I minus under root of cos square I minus cos square phi dash into cos I. So, total passive pressure at the back of the retaining wall will be equal to half into Kp into gamma Z square. Now, the second case is back of the retaining wall is inclined. So, here we can see that the back AB of the retaining wall is inclined. But there are again two conditions. In first condition, the soil surface is horizontal. In second condition, the soil surface is inclined. So first we will see the horizontal surface. So for this condition, a vertical plane is taken. So a vertical plane AC is taken and the active earth pressure PE is determined on this vertical plane from Rankine's theory. The total pressure on the wall is the resultant of active pressure acting on this vertical plane and the weight of this wedge. So the active pressure on this plane will be like this plus weight of the wedge will be equal to the total pressure at the back of the retaining wall. So this pressure acts at height h by 3 from the bottom. So it acts as at height h by 3 from the bottom. Similarly, for the inclined surface with back of the retaining wall inclined, the active pressure Pa is determined first on the vertical plane AC. So this active pressure will be like this. Then the total pressure P1 is the resultant of the pressure Pa and W. So W is the weight of the wedge ABC. So total pressure will be equal to resultant of P1 and W. Thank you for watching.